Okay, let's start with the real code information. Chapter 1 of the 8th edition, text only. So this should be the easiest material to study. The 780 CMR is the Board of Building and Regulation Standards, Board of Building Regulations and Standards, Massachusetts Residential Code. And the provisions of this code is known as the Massachusetts Residential Code. They combine the International Residential Code of 2009 with the Massachusetts Amendment. The BBRS adopts and incorporates the International Building Code and its appendages A to J. These collectively are the 8th edition base volume, referred to as this code. BBRS also adopts and incorporates the International Energy Conservation Code with modification into Appendix AA. Special regulations required unique to Massachusetts are found at Section 110 R1 to R7. This code applies to all town, state agencies, or authorities in accordance with the Massachusetts general laws. So doesn't matter in what town in Massachusetts, these rules apply. The provisions of this code apply to construction, alteration, movement, enlargement, replacement, repair, equipment, use and occupancy, location, removal, demolition of detached 1 and 2 family dwelling and townhouse, not with a separate means of egress with their structure. The purpose of this code is to establish minimum requirements to safeguard public safety, health, and general welfare through affordability, structural strength, means of egress facilities, stability, sanitation, light and ventilation, energy conservation, and safety to life and property from fire and other hazards attributed to the built environment, and to provide safety to firefighters or emergency responders during emergency operations. Okay. The purpose of this code is to establish, I think I've gone over that section, so let's continue here. General. Where there is a conflict between a general requirement and a specific requirement, the specific requirement shall be applicable. That means shall be used. This word is a little bit too... Where in any specific case, different sections of this code specify different materials, methods of construction, or other requirements, the most restrictive shall govern other laws. There are some codes are pertain to Massachusetts general laws. Code of Massachusetts registrations are often referenced in this code or other CMRs. It is your responsibility to determine all applicable laws and regulations relevant to each section in this code. It is very important at the time of exam to identify the right law or code. It's good to know where to find them. DDS facilities. Additional building features required by the Massachusetts Department of Developmental Services do not change the classification of residences operated or licensed by DDS as well as subject to this code. When provisions of this code conflict with municipal bylaws or ordinances, this code shall govern, unless the bylaws or ordinances were promulgated in accordance with the Massachusetts General Law. References to chapters or section numbers or to provisions not specifically identified by number shall be construed to refer to such chapter, section, or provision of this code. The code's regulations and standards referenced in this code shall be considered part of the requirements of this code to the prescribed extent of each such reference. So, where is reference, all the laws apply under that reference. Where differences occur between provisions of this code and reference codes and standards, the provisions of this code shall apply. Exception: where enforcement of a code provision would violate the conditions of the listing of the equipment or appliance, the conditions of the listing and manufacturer's instructions shall apply. Manufacturer's instructions are specialized. It's kind of like specialized code. Reference codes included specialized code of Massachusetts General Law and other codes, regulations listed in R102. The specialized codes are hereby incorporated into this code. Other codes and regulations shall be considered part of this code to the prescribed extent of each such reference. Work regulated by, that's too far. Specialized codes shall be designed, installed, and inspected by individuals authorized to do so in accordance with the specialized codes. However, the impact of such work regulated by the specialized codes and other codes and regulations on work governed by this code shall be subject to inspection by a building official. Work regulated by the Architecture Access Board regulations falls under the building enforcement as well. Work regulated by the Board of Sheet Metal regulations also falls under building enforcement. Gas and fossil fuel burning appliances referenced in the International Fuel Gas Code shall be considered reference to the Massachusetts Fuel Gas and Plumbing Code. Gas-fired appliances are governed by the Massachusetts Fuel Gas and Plumbing Code. Oil-fired appliances are governed by the Board of Fire Prevention regulations. Mechanical. The provisions of the International Mechanical Code applies to the installation, alterations, repairs, and replacement of mechanical systems, including equipment, appliances, fixtures, fittings, and appurtenances, including ventilating, heating, cooling, air conditioning, and refrigeration systems, incinerators, and other energy-related systems. Let's skip that. Page. The State Environmental Code Title V addresses issues related to sewage disposal or other water connections. Requirements for the siting, construction, siting, construction, inspection, upgrade, and expansion of on-site sewage treatment and disposal systems, and for the transport and disposal of sewage. And here are more references regarding surface water discharge, groundwater discharge, and reclaimed water programs. And here's about the same references in the International Code and the Massachusetts Code. You want if the CMR does not address an issue covered by the I code, then that said reference code shall apply. If a conflict regarding fire prevention requires exists between fire prevention regulation code and Massachusetts residential code, the more stringent standards shall apply. Building code requirements in the codes are made a part of Massachusetts Code and are enforceable by building officials. The provision of Chapter 11 or the International Energy Conservation Code shall apply to all matters governing the design and construction of buildings for energy efficiency. Reference to the International Electrical Code shall be considered reference to the CMR 527, Massachusetts Electrical Codes and Amendments. In the event any part or provision of this code is held to be illegal or void, this shall have the effect of making void or illegal any other part or provision. So, shall not. Need to highlight that. The legal occupancy of any structure existing on the date of adoption of this code shall be permitted to continue without change, except as is specifically covered in this code is deemed necessary by a building official for the general safety and welfare of the occupants and for the public. Addition, alterations, and repairs to any structure shall conform to requirement of new structure without requiring existing structure to comply with all of the requirements of this code, unless otherwise stated. Additions, alterations, or repairs shall not cause an existing structure to become made unsafe or adversely affect the performance of the building, unless specifically provided otherwise in this code, and narrow the provision of this code. Any existing building or structure shall meet and shall be presumed to meet the provisions of the applicable law, code, rules, regulations, bylaws, or ordinances in effect at the time such building or structure was constructed or altered. In cases where applicable code, rules, or regulations, bylaws, or ordinances were not in existence at the time of such construction, the building official is hereby authorized and directed to enforce the provision of this code in accordance with the Massachusetts General Law. Whenever in the enforcement of this code or any another code or ordinance, the responsibility of more than one enforcement official of the jurisdiction is involved, it shall be the duty of enforcement officials involved to coordinate their inspections and administrative orders as fully as practicable, so that the owners and occupants of the building or structures shall not be subjected to visit by numerous inspectors or multiple or conflicting orders. Whenever an enforcement official observes an apparent or actual violation not within the official's authority, the official shall report the findings to the official having jurisdiction. The building official shall receive applications, review construction documents, and issue permits for the erection and alteration of building and structures, inspecting the premises for which such permits have been issued, and enforce compliance with provision of this code. The building official shall issue all necessary notices or orders to ensure compliance with this code. The building official is authorized to make all of the required inspections, or the building official shall have the authority to accept reports of inspection by approved agencies or individuals. Reports of such inspections shall be in writing and be certified by a responsible officer of such approved agency or by the responsible individual. The building official is authorized to engage such expert opinion as deemed necessary to report upon unusual technical issues that arise subject to approval of the appointing authority. Carry proper identification when inspecting structures or premises in the performance of duties under this code. Where it is necessary to make an inspection,